up to speed, up to speed, up to speed.
Live from the apocalypse, this is the final level. When you're done with this episode, the music will play, you'll have won. This is State of the Game. And I am I'm working towards being the nicest dickhead the world's ever seen. This is Dano trying to offset nature with deliberate kindness, and that's been the mission. So yeah, people who think I'm nice only know half the story. But my co-host, everybody's calling everybody kings and queens out there. Don't call my co-host a king. Teachers outlast the kings and queens. That's in the words of KRS-One. So
like that.
Yeah. So thank you, K Diggy, for joining us.
Yeah, man.
And coaching us through every week. We have a guest, and I'm very nerdy, K. I'm very nerdy, and I study things. Our guest, I was observing, studying, and fascinated by before there was any music that I could listen to. Sunmundi now has 2 albums, right? And a bunch of Lucy's, an elegant soiree of Lucy's. But before that, I just knew Sunmundi as someone on Big Flower's Discord chat. And it was a Discord chat full of people much more artistic than me. I had nothing to provide there. But I thought the art Sunmundi contributed, the visual art was so interesting and so good, but I also was impressed by how kind and considerate Sunmundi was to everyone else. Discord can make you into a beast, it can really bring out the ugly tendencies in you. So I was like, wow, okay, like Sunmundi's, this is interesting. Like, who is this? And then when I found the music, I was like, oh shit. So it was, I've been lucky enough to be on the ground level, like maybe the level below the ground level, with Sunmundi, like below the hotel lobby kind of thing. So I appreciate you finally being here. The first episode we talked about Midnight Oil with Rama.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Joshua Virtue. That was fantastic. So, and I think, okay, you were into that album, and so we definitely had to do this. So, thank you for being here. You have a new album with Clown Cat, Lived and Born.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah.
Well, first, let me thank you. Thank you guys for having me. Yeah, this show is so dope, and yeah, like I just appreciate your guys' coverage and I appreciate the nerdiness so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So no, it's definitely dope to be chatting with you guys.
Yeah, it's great. I think I said on the Rama episode, the weird part about my connection to your music is I'm always a little disappointed in whatever you put out new, because I'm so attached to the previous thing. So when you first put out Midnight Oil, I had already crafted my own Lucy collection, and I was very proud of my Lucy collection. I was like, this isn't my Lucy collection. And I slept on it. And then when I came back, I was, good God, like there's nothing like Midnight Oil. By the time Lived and Born came out, my relationship with Midnight Oil was so strong that I was like, this isn't Midnight Oil, right? Like, and so I have that cycle over and over again, which I think speaks well of you, right? Like, that it's that high stakes for me internally. So what is this is your second full length project. How have you seen, because we've talked to people in this space, and one of the weird parts about it is that you're new to everybody, every project you put out, right? Like there's people who didn't hear Midnight Oil who've now heard Lived and Born, and that's their first entrance, you know? So what has it been like being discovered and new the second time?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, it's dope. I mean, yeah, I feel like Lived and Born and Midnight Oil they're so different. I feel like they're like in the same family, but they're like distant relatives. Um, yeah, Midnight Oil, definitely like put, I think, put a couple people on to me, which was dope. But then I feel like even like not to like make a pun on like Lived and Born and the theme of reincarnation. I feel like that album was like I feel like that album kind of was like a rebirth of like a more modern version of me.
Yeah.
Because my whole up to the point like before I even wrote Midnight Oil, before I made like any song, like I feel like Midnight Oil was the album that I intended to be like my one album I made. Like I just wanted to be like, yo, I made an album and it's cool and I want to be proud of it when
Right.
I'm older. And then I was gonna be like done. And I feel like the art just like pulled me back, like writing and rapping just pulled me back in. And so when I did Live and Born, um, yeah, I feel like that was kind of like a rebirth of me, like as an artist, sort of. Um, so yeah, and the love on Live and Born is dope. Yeah, like shout out to Clown Cat, shout out to Atman did Live and Born, Midnight Oil, Clown Cat on Live and Born. So yeah, that couldn't have done either of these projects without them, obviously. But yeah, those are two good dudes, and they helped a lot of, helped at least half of the shit come to life. So
Yeah, they seem to definitely have had a vision for the sound, right? Like,
mhm.
uh, okay, how would you describe the sounds of these two albums?
So Midnight Oil, there was what's the word I want to use? It was very spiritual. It was a very like spiritual, ethereal, I think is the word that I'm looking
Ethereal,
for.
yeah. Yep.
Ethereal. And then Lived and Born was a little bit more. I mean, I don't want to say dark, but it was almost like two sides of a coin to me.
Yeah. It was you know what I'll give a framing device to think about it,
Yeah.
Kay? Movie genres, right? If Midnight Oil was a movie, it would be a movie about a person discovering their spiritual center,
Mm-hmm.
going on
Yes.
a Siddhartha-like journey to discover their spiritual center, right? If Lived and Born was a movie, it would be a thriller about children trapped in a dangerous place trying to escape.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
It's
I
almost
love when people.
existentialist in a way to me, like Lived and Born,
Yeah, yeah. I got
like
more.
someone
I was gonna.
grappling with their spirituality. You know?
Right?
Yeah, yeah. That's fair. I was gonna say that I love when people uh bring a description to my music that I hadn't thought of, or like some people just summarize it better.
Yeah.
Like and I think that's dope that you guys do that. But yeah, I'm definitely on board with those comparisons. Yeah, Midnight Oil is definitely like a discovery process. Um, it was a discovery in the one sense because I'm discovering myself as an artist. I mean, that's my first big artistic endeavor I've ever done.
Yeah.
I painted before, but that was like super casual, and I don't really do that anymore. But yeah, and just the content of the album is definitely like grappling with spirituality, with like the non-material um aspect of like my thoughts, I guess. Um, and yeah, Lived and Born. Some people have like just like described it as more almost more on the ground. If Midnight Oil is like happening in a non-material,
Yep.
like
Yep.
spiritual, like plane, if you will, not to sound like a fucking douchebag, but like if
Right.
Lived and Born is like a lot more on the ground, still looking up, but it's
Mm.
also on the ground. And yo, someone else pointed out to me that the cover of Midnight Oil to me looks like a stairway leading into the sky.
Mm.
And I feel like the Lived and Born cover is like a house in the sky.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
I don't really know how. I think someone might have like pointed that out to me or whatever. But I think that's kind of another interesting way to. That's a different way to look at it. But yeah, I've never really thought about these albums in context with each other, in conversation with each other. But it's interesting.
And that's the wild thing about creating something and creating art is that like you plan what you plan, right? You do what you do. At the end of that process, when you're looking at it, you're like, wait, did I mean for that to be there? Like, is that subconscious or did that just happen?
Man.
Like,
Yo, I
there's
love
so
when that
many
happens.
things that they just come together. You know what I mean? That you can't even control it.
It's so true. I was yeah, I thought about this a lot. Like it happened a lot. It happens a lot when I write in general, that phenomenon you're talking about, where when you're in the midst of writing or yeah, I mean for me it's writing. When you're in the midst of writing and then you're done writing a verse and you look back, you see things that you never focused on. You see things that you never thought about. Like it's you create like puzzles that end up solving themselves when you step back and look farther
Right.
back. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens with me with like sometimes I'll just fucking stumble on like a cool double entendre or like I'll step back from a song and be like, oh, I didn't know that I was talking about X, Y, and Z, and it painted one picture, but it does. Like I feel like that stuff happens, and that's affirming as an artist when that happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you have these unintentional, this unintentional like symmetry where like things come together naturally. So I was just talking to Shamar about you guys know Shamar. Hopefully,
Yeah,
hopefully
absolutely.
you're on.
Yep.
Okay, word. I was just talking to Shamar about this like yesterday about how when you're in the process of making something, you like just about that thing about how you don't always intend for something, but then it happens like perfectly. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
Just like these unintentional like happy mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Shout
Well,
out to Bob Ross, but that is
you like you know, we speak in sports metaphors, obviously, but you know, Kay, you like the strategy and what every coach tells you is like just fight to get back in the games, keep it close, and who knows what happens at the end, right?
Mhm.
Like, and that philosophy is born out of if we keep doing the right thing over and over again, if we keep putting ourselves in the right place over and over again, we can't possibly miss every shot. Like, we're gonna get some rolls, right? And when we get hot, who knows what happens, right? And so that's like you kind of just try and put yourself in the right place of where you want to be. And you know, if you get close and you get to stay there for a while, you can find more than you even thought you were going to get.
Mhm.
So I think that's what you're starting to see, I think. Which is cool. Kay, there's a famous tweet about Sunmundi that is fabulous. Okay. That rolled around the RMPP Discord for a while. It was a tweet that said Sunmundi like lived and born is cool. It's the days of Yen Lo for white people. The Ka album, the Yen Lo album for white people. And there's a lot to unpack there. By the way, the person who said it wasn't trying to cook Sunmundi. They said they liked the album, right? It's just that people on Twitter speak in insulting, like everything's insulting, you know. But what I think they missed, Kay, is the age part, right? Dr. Yen Lo sounds like a 39-year-old dealing with all the different selves that they had.
They had.
Right. And Lived and Born sounds, and I don't know how old you are. It sounds like how I felt at 28. Right?
25. turning 26 really soon.
28, like near the end part of the 20s, back 20s, you
Yeah.
start to shed what you did and who you were, right? From the teenage years through the early 20s, you were who am I? What am I? But there's a point at the end of the 20s where you gather the facts and you're like, look, I've met a lot of people at parties. I've hung out with a lot of people, but a lot of those people wouldn't spit on me if I was on fire. Like, they don't care. So I'm going to cull this down, right? And I'm going to surround myself with a circle of people who I love enough that I'll let them hurt me if they need to, right? Like if I deserve it, right? Like if I need to be checked, I trust them to check. That process starts around that end of the 20s. So this album feels like that feeling to me, of like, I'm getting to the point where I'm not old, but I'm certainly not that young anymore. and I'm figuring out what that means. Is that off base, or am I there?
Oh, my bad. Let me see. So I was saying, yeah, no, I feel like I'm at that point in my life where I'm like making more like life decisions kind of like than I ever had. And like, just shit just gets more, everything just has more gravity. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like as you get older, like, more important decisions to make and all that stuff. So, yeah, art is definitely I'm grateful for, the art of rap to be able to explore it. Because I mean, it's just like a healthy and beautiful and fun and challenging and dark and like complex way of exploring, that phenomenon of like getting older, dealing with that shit.
Yeah. No, it's a different vibe. How does my age characteristic variable factor for you in that comparison, Kay?
Yeah, I mean, I did, maybe it's the tone and the delivery, but it did remind me a lot of Ka. But you're right. I like what you were saying in terms of from the different perspectives. Like Ka is he's looking back at what he was, and I think Sunmundi is looking at what he wants to be.
Right.
So it's like the same tone, but it's a different perspective.
Yeah, well, and the tone comparison is the value in the tweet, right? And that's kind of what I wanted to get at, right? What I love about Ka, and this is what I've always said, is Ka talks to you like an old uncle who's been through a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And he's sitting you down, right? And so he's telling you war stories. He's telling you all this terrible stuff, but he's telling it to you like he loves you and wants you to understand and learn from it. Does that make sense? Like, there's a loving tone to Ka's raps. I will not cede that point. Like, you can listen to Ka at any phase, and he's trying to help himself and the audience that he's talking to. It's a conversation. So that the hardness and the fragility mix are key, right? It puts him above and beyond a lot of other people, right? But he's not. So in terms of Sunmundi, the comparison I think would be, I've always thought you had like a battle rapper's delivery. Like, you are a savage in terms of how you're speaking the words and delivering it, right? You're stamping it down, but there's a deep fragility to what you're talking about. Like, when you listen to enough Sunmundi, you're actually going, I hope he gets through this, like, because there's a lot, ooh. seems every time I go out on a limb, it breaks, right? That's from listening, you know, it's, there's a lot of lines like that. You know, it's sometimes all you need to hear is words soft as a lover's touch or as jagged as the cliff on which you got to clutch. That's from Vedette. I love Vedette. There's over and over again, you can find these lines of poetic, beautifully formed poetry
Mm-hmm.
that strike a chord deep within, a basic fragility, I think, of like, I hope I'm okay, you know?
Yeah.
And saying I hope I'm okay on a rap song is never easy to do.
Yeah, I thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
so sorry about that, guys.
No problem.
Anyway, I was gonna say, like, I feel like what prompts me to write is the need to be vulnerable, and so that's why you listen to my music and think like, why is this dude so? Why is he rapping if he's so like, if he's so like bummed out and like fragile? But yeah, for me, that's just like that's my mode. It's like I write when I write to like explore like a part of what I'm feeling or whatever.
Mm.
So I trust me, I want to write happy raps, but it's it's just not my it's not my language. You know what I mean?
Mm.
As far as rap, I'll make a funny fucking painting. Like I'll do that for sure. And like if you know me, I'm like a goofy guy kind of. But yeah, as far as rap, yeah, you're probably gonna get bummed, and you'll probably be like, he listens to too much Ka. But some people dig it, so.
And I don't want to make it sound like you're like, Eeyore, you're just glum. It is not like,
No, for sure. Nah, you're right. You're right.
you have the ability to paint what you're dealing with in a way that connects to all of us, right? Like,
Yeah.
the healing song is dope. Like, I really love the healing song. Soft melodies quell mental quandaries. Like, that's just really well put,
Man, love. Thank you. Yo,
Yeah.
like I'm trying to uplift myself too. Like I feel like that's also a function,
Yeah.
like healing myself of like through rap, through writing, I guess is more accurate. But yeah, I think you touch on an important part of my writing, in that, yeah, it's like looking for light. It's not always like I'm in the dark. Here's what the dark looks like. It looks like X, Y, Z. It's like here's the dark, but there's the light. So you know what I mean? It's always like that. And I think going back to the Ka comparison, not to like beat this dead horse, but I feel like he taught me, like through listening to his music, I feel like I've learned, I think his like implied second voice. It's like he's telling the list, like talking to the listener, like you said, like talking to the listener with these like aphorisms or stories or knowledge or whatever, but also talking to himself. And so I feel like I feel like that's always been my default. That's why I connect with him, because it's like I feel like my default for writing is talking to myself, but sometimes I'll use a second voice when I say you gotta blah 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 whatever.
Right.
I'm talking about it's it's just implied dual conversation, you with you and with me. So.
Yeah, no, I was gonna. That was my next point, was that, and I think that's a great lesson to learn from Ka. You don't have to be direct when you're talking about what's wrong, right? You don't have to say Jenny's a bitch. You don't have to say that. You can, like, my favorite things on capitulation. Some answers are shiny, some will gouge you, some are dirty. You got to dig up and polish, right? Like capitulation. That's something that applies in a lot of situations, right? You can have something in mind when you're writing it of who it applies to, but you pulled out and gave an overshot of the whole terrain of that.
Mm.
And it creates a resonance, I think. Does that make sense, Kay?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that kind of ties into the next question I wanted to ask. So we know that you were influenced by Ka, but what were some other influences in terms of your artistic development?
Mm. As far
And
as
it doesn't
like
just have to be rap either. I mean, it can
Okay.
be
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Well, I mean, first of all, I got into rap like late in my life. Like I'm 25 and I became like a rap fan, like as I am now, like 2017 when I first heard Rock Marcy's Rosebud's Revenge, first one.
Mhm.
So as far as my influences for rap, yeah, rock, Ka, obviously. Navy Blue used to be like a really big influence on me.
Mm.
My first song I ever made is kind of like a poor man's Navy Blue. So yeah, those are a couple that influenced me. And also Billy Woods, also Woods,
Right.
of course.
Right.
So and I think all these people, maybe that's where I get my delivery from, just listening to these.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah.
I
That's a
mean,
good
like,
call.
Ka raps and rock for that matter. Like some people say that they rap understated, but
Right.
I feel like their words are what hold the like
Sure.
like fucking like punches and like the I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I don't know. Those are a couple of my rap influences at least.
No, that's great point. Like Rock and Ka know how their pause game is crazy, right? They're like
Right.
they're pausing negative space, right? Is what we
Yeah.
called it, right? The use of negative space. Whereas Woods, I think the magic in Woods is sometimes he's telling you a horrific emotional breakup story, but he's delivering it as if he's eating a sandwich while doing it. Like
Yeah, right.
it's
It's why we love him.
it's very conversational, it's very casual, but it's heart wrenching the same, right? He's in charge of that as well. So like that's the magic of that. He can boom that out and make you track where he's at. Um, so I think that makes sense. That's a good combination.
Yeah, if I can interrupt for a sec, like yeah, I think the thing with Woods is it's just the disparity. It's just the juxtaposition that we enjoy from these rappers. It's the juxtaposition of like Rock, like almost mumbling, that he'll kill you while wearing Air Max 95s or whatever, or like, you know what I mean? Or Woods screaming like passionately, but then he throws in a line about, how he's put fucking dicing green onion or whatever.
Yep.
Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I just think that juxtaposition is cool, and yeah, I don't know. Just it's probably something I emulate. I try to emulate at least. So yeah. But also Wood's probably best chef in rap. I mean Bronson.
Fair.
I mean we've seen more Bronson, but just to put my foot in the circle, I think probably Woods and Bronson. I don't know if this discourse has officially occurred anywhere, but if we have to start the who's the best chef in rap,
right.
Chat. I mean, I would say probably Woods or
Chef Bars. You got to get a super cut of the best Chef Bars. Get that on YouTube. No, I think that's a great point. The yeah, because it's anything you think Billy Woods is, he's also something totally opposite, right? Like if you think he's the deepest, most thoughtful person, he's also like one of the hardest, dealer rappers. Like he's also talking about that life. But he's also like very personal. Like he's rapping about stroking his cat and on New York City tap water and finally coming back off tour. Like he's my cat just yelped at me as I said that. Okay. But yeah, it's so I think that's dimensions, right? Adding dimensions on. And I think you've successfully done that throughout these projects. You've added dimensions on as you've gone, which is important. And I think the Sonics have a lot to do with that, right? I do not want to like step over that, because one of the things I was thinking about that gives Midnight Oil that character is the so Othman, the reason I think that album feels so spiritual is because there's all these amazing moaning, whining sounds that act as a release, right? Like the clown cat on Lived and Born gives you tension, constant tension in the beats, whereas Othman, it's almost a constant release.
Such an interesting point.
Because of that, you know, the chanting that you hear in the background or the instrumentation, it seems to swell and break over and over again. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, both soundscapes are fucking crazy. I think if Aman and I ever put Midnight Oil on vinyl, if anyone wants to do that, I think an instrumental side would be crazy, and people would get so much out of that.
Yep.
Because he's a crazy producer in his own right. And yeah, I feel like I feel like I always do this with producers. Like I feel like I always like work with these great producers, and then I'm just like, come down here and like make me something like from down here. You know what I'm saying? But no, but and for Lived and Born, man, we all know about Clown Cat. I mean,
yeah,
Clown Cat man is crazy. So yeah, I'm on board with the description of the tension in the beats. Yeah, there's tension, but there's also moments of resolution. I feel like Harbingers is such a, it's like fucking like you escaped like a dungeon and you're like out and you're outside. I don't know, and like there's a crazy sunset or something.
Yeah,
that beat is just resolution.
Harbingers is beautiful. It's I think I can't imagine it closing a different way. And you kind of restate throughout this, like this is it. We made it. Like we're at the end of the journey. Like, and it's just it's the track that you wanted. It doesn't guarantee you a happy ending, but you know it gives you the props for how far you've come.
Yeah, man. I think that's that ends up being a theme. Even I'm thinking about my next album. It seems to be a theme where my outros are. I just feel like I use the outros like, what can I want to do the most grand thing possible that I can, that in my capabilities.
Right.
You know, Harbingers, yeah, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And then listening on Midnight Oil is like still maybe like when I first heard that I like almost cried. It was just off listening to a beat. I've never had that experience from a beat before. But I think that's probably the most beautiful beat or my favorite beat ever. It's just so special. But yeah, I love the process of like taking the listener through this. Like you like trudge through these albums, and then it's nice when there's just light at the end. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
we like that.
we talked about characteristics of ultra personal albums, right? And we talked about, because you know it as a listener, sometimes if it's heavy and you don't want to go on that journey, you want to be able to explain, like, I respect your journey, I just can't deal with this right now. But one of the tips I would say, you always keep your albums pretty tight, right? You're not going to release a double album of all the bad shit you're dealing with, right? Like that's too much.
Yeah, it is. That is too much. I'm not gonna put anyone through that.
So like if you keep it, you know, tight and you pay it off at the end, like it's an experience people can come back through and can feel good about it. But it's that's one key, I think, is making sure that you're there for the right amount of time with your audience.
Yeah. I think especially these two albums are so, they are both like very densely written, I would imagine most people who like rap won't like
Oh yeah.
what's going on, you know. But I feel like it's just the payoff is just so much bigger for that reason. You know, if you dig it, if you can tolerate it for a full album, then
Right.
I think that the payoff is can be significant.
Yeah. No, I learned something every time.
I had a question. What is the timeline of the two albums?
Good question.
Midnight Oil came out February
Oh, I mean, like the
20.
creation. Like when
Oh,
did you
duh.
start working
Fucking, oh my
on?
God, duh.
Yeah.
Like, when did I start? Let me think. Midnight Oil was, I think it took me a year. I think I started it like a year. I worked on it for a year, I think, if not a little bit more. I usually take a long time on albums. And I don't know. I think kind of soon after I released Midnight Oil, I started Lived and Born.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Because I usually take, I mean, at this rate, it seems to take me a year to make an album. So
So what was the gap between the creation of the two?
as far as like what I was,
Yeah, so you stopped, like when did you, what was the gap between you finishing Midnight Oil and then you starting Lived and Born?
I think I can't really give you like months.
Mm-hmm.
A, because my memory sucks, and B, because I guess refer to number A, to fucking
Right.
letter A. But it truthfully wasn't that long because I had written Midnight Oil. Um, I had written Midnight Oil. Yeah, like I can't even like
Oh.
I never think about this shit, but I guess I should because it's important to reflect on yourself as an artist, but I don't really do that shit too much.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like I was just ready for Lived and Born when I got the beat. Like when I first started getting beats from Clown Cat, I knew I was in a new like direction because I don't want to make the same album twice, especially in a row. Like I'm not trying to do that. So yeah, I feel like I don't know, just kind of you just develop more. Your ear, like as a listener, translates to your voice as a writer or your voice as an artist. So just like listening to more shit. I listen to my stuff a lot before it comes out, and then when it comes out, I like don't really listen to it. So yeah, I stopped listening to Midnight Oil, and I don't know. It's just I think the beats just like brought me to a new place completely.
Mhm.
And that contributing to the differences, the lyrical differences in the album.
Yeah. Yeah, you didn't want an oil series that was just all oil.
Yeah, Midnight Oil too, man. You gotta, I don't know, it might be a decade till we get that one.
Monday oil,
Could be Monday Oil. Yeah. Sometimes Mondays are like Midnight Oil, to be honest. But
yeah.
yeah.
But no, it's yeah, that makes sense. And yeah, I think it's great because they're new directions, but they're not like far from each other.
Right.
It's
I mean,
we've talked about this before. I have a theory on this, Sunmundi. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
okay.
My theory is what we want as an audience is not a completely new album from you each time. We want you to carry 30 to 35% of what you did, of what worked from the last one, and then build the rest new. Right? So that we still get the cool shit we love, right? But you're growing also.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, it can be challenging to think about, okay, I just finished this album. What elements do I enjoy? What elements I think not work? I think I can't really change I feel like my style is, I feel pretty confident that I have my own style and I feel like I have my own language at this point, like as a writer. But I don't know, man. The production really tells me so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't emphasize that enough. Like I'm not a person who just writes with no beats. Like I need beats first. I need to write to a beat because that like tells me I don't know, that just tells me where I need to be, where my head needs to be sometimes. So
Right.
sometimes the producer can tell a lot.
And
Yeah.
how did you and Clown Cat end up connecting?
I had posted something on some Discord. I posted like a demo, the demo for Vedette. I had posted on a Discord server, and then he hit me up and asked me to do a feature on Vox and Rama, which is
Okay.
Stalemate, the song Stalemate. So we linked, I did a feature, and then he just sent me beats, and I was loving them. And I think the first 3 songs we made were the first 3 songs on the album. So yeah, we met and linked on Discord.
Had he heard a little bit of Midnight Oil before you guys had connected?
Nah. He had just heard this demo I did. I just recorded some demo like through my fucking AirPod speakers and threw it in a Discord. And yeah, he just peeped that and was like, let's work. So
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Discord.
So are both of these albums, email exchange things with folders? They're not, you've never done an album with a producer
Nah,
like
nah,
that?
yeah, nah, it's all mostly just email, Discord, whatever. Yeah, Concat's in California. Amon is in Canada.
Yep.
I'm in New York, so they can't be too close, you know what I mean?
Too close. Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't know.
No,
I don't know.
but I mean that would be interesting to have that as an experience.
I think so.
So. But it's different.
How would you describe that, like the email creation process? Like, I don't know if you ever recorded like songs in person, but if you have, like, how would you contrast the 2 approaches to creating art?
Well, I mean, as far as the, like the digital way of doing this, I'm completely, I really, I'm fine with it. I know some people are like, I need to be face to face with someone. I need to like see you make the beat. But I feel like there's so many amazing producers who are just trying to find people who they work well with. Like there's just so many amazing producers at any given time. And so I've been lucky enough to, these people come to me and they're like, yo, I think you sound cool on these beats, blah, blah, blah. So it's just kind of a pleasure to just know all these amazing producers and have access to these dope beats. But then I really don't yearn like other artists yearn for like the face-to-face shit. Because when I'm writing, my writing is my thing. Like I write, it takes me so long to write. I go through like long bouts of writer's block. So I'm happy to just go off, I take like weeks to make shit, like to make a song sometimes, or a month. Like so yeah. I never really done anything in person. It's just kind of
and it sounds like you're building a relationship with the beat.
I mean, yeah, like in a sense, I guess, but before I endeavor to bring someone on a journey of an album with me,
right?
We gotta be cool and we gotta kind of be homies on some level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, the beat itself, like I said, just amazing producers send amazing beats, and you're like, I need to say something amazing on this.
Right.
So it makes it easier for me. So
yeah, I'm with you. That's awesome. And you've had the other thing I was thinking about is both of these albums they're all Sunmundi. There's no guests, no features. And I was like, what would a featured universe be with Sunmundi? Because like you said, your writing is your world and it's your speed and your command. And so people fitting that world would be interesting,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to say too much. I mean, I don't want to spill beans about my next album, but I don't know. We can infer. If I started down here with Midnight Oil in the dark, and then I went up here to Lived and Born, my next thing is another step towards the light in that regard. And I'm branching out a little bit more and trying to work with some more people. So you'll see soon enough.
And I don't want to make it seem like you can't fit with other people, because that song you did with Unruly was fabulous. I love
thank
that.
you. I mean,
and you guys fit perfectly together. We talked about it with Unruly. He loved that track. So yeah, I think that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Unruly, man. He's fucking amazing.
It really is amazing. Okay, game for you, right?
Yeah.
You can pick anybody in this underground space, any producer, to do the next album of Sunmundi, to be the producer for Sunmundi.
Oh gosh, that's the thing.
Where you going?
Okay, so I'm not too familiar.
You know,
like I don't know the producers off the top of my head, but I could tell you like what type of production style I think you would.
Sure.
It would be interesting to hear you off of, and then you can match it with whatever producer comes to mind. You know, I would be interested to, like, what I like about Ka is that he, like, there is a little bit of like, there's a like when you're like painting, you paint with, you have like your palette of colors, you know what I mean? And I'd be interested to hear you rhyme over beats that are, you know, slightly, you know, they have a little darkness in them, but they're slightly brighter.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you guys are throwing me alley-oops to like tease shit about this joint, man. But I mean, look at you'll figure all these questions will be answered.
Yeah. That's awesome.
You know?
I mean, I think that's like the next step for you, because I mean, and then you can have that balance of the darkness and the light,
right?
And it becomes very interesting.
Right.
I mean, Kay, I think the final boss on that scale to me, I mean, last episode, who did we have as a guest?
Oh gosh,
you can't remember the last episode.
I know.
August Fanon.
Yes.
Oh man,
August Fanon Sunmundi would make a lot of sense, and it would be pretty awesome. Anyway,
I wish. That dude's the best, man. Shout out to Fanon. No, trust me, I would love to. I would need to probably take like a vow of silence for a year before he even sends me packs, so that I can.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I just need to.
Yeah.
To like prepare my best shit ever if I did that.
You need to
Shout out to Fanon, he's the best.
Yeah, that's
he's dope.
I would say my recommendation was going to be Wavy Bagels. I think the Wavy Bagels.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah,
that'd be tight, man. Yo.
Wavy Bagels is dope. Yeah, a lot of bounce in that stuff. I dig it. But yeah, and obviously working with Shamar would be dope too. With a lot of good stuff there. But yeah, I really enjoy the singularity of what you do. And it doesn't neatly fit in any of the categories. A lot of MCs who are doing very personal music are delivering it over like adorable fluttery piano keys in like a very special episode voice, you know? And that stuff started to wear me down at some point, right? Where I was just like, man, I don't know, man. Like, everybody has feelings, man, you know? You can't be the king of feelings. Relax. And
that's crazy. That's a good quote, man.
You can't be the king of feelings. Relax.
Sorry, I don't make the rules. You just can't be that.
You can't do it.
Sorry.
Like, there was some rapper who was like, I think he was giving an interview and he was, I don't want to call him out, but it was like, what's unique about me is I'm the kind of rapper who, raps like about loving my mom, and I'm not scared to rap about loving my mom. And I was like, man, shut up, dude. Like, Snoop loves his mom. Like, shut up.
Like, I'm the one rapper who like loves their mom.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous. my brand is I love my mom. Okay. So, but yeah, that's you your delivery and the intensity of your poetic writing makes it so fucking cool. Uh, to
Thank you, man.
to every song. There's a bunch of great, I got inertia, not nerves. I'm trying to see the promised land before I lie in the dirt. Uh, there's a lot of
Mm.
great imagery. I was trying to think about if I was going to recommend one Lucy to people. So on your writing and how special it is, I'd go Me and the Fly.
Oh, word. Oh, word. Yo, yeah, the Man in the Fly. That joint is sick. Yeah, shout out to Sasko who did that beat. That
Yeah.
beat is so crazy. Like the texture on that is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting pick. Yeah, that song is cool. I had just read yeah, when I wrote that, I had just read Today I Wrote Nothing,
Yeah.
which I bought because of the Woods album. So yeah, that's a cool track. That's an important track for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it shows that you can pull together images and create like, a patchwork, but you can tell a story from
Mhm.
second one to the end, you know,
Yeah,
um,
thank you.
and make it dope. So a lot of respect for your pen work, and
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Keith, how do you feel about this progression so far, going from Midnight Oil to Lived and Born?
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see like where you progress, not only as an artist but as a person, because I think, as you're getting older, I think we're going to start seeing even more growth at a like an exponential rate, I would say. And that's kind of what I wanted to ask you. That kind of ties in. So when you listen to the two, I don't know if you've listened to the two albums in full, Sunmundi. What do you hear? Like when you listen to Sunmundi, what do you hear? And then when you listen to Lived and Born, what do you hear?
Mhm.
Wow, that's an interesting question. Well, I mean, first of all, in one sense, it's hard for me to like listen to it as not like as a listener, like as a fully objective listener. It's obviously hard for me to assess that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so in that sense, the best I can answer that is like I don't know. When I listen to my own shit, first of all, when I listen to Midnight Oil, I know that that was like work in progress. And I'm not saying Lived and Born is like I'm done like growing as a writer and I'm done learning, but it felt much more like much more. I can see where I was trying too hard. I feel like as a writer, or where like I said, it's like my first artistic project. So obviously there's gonna be a million flaws you see, but I still do respect it, and I think I respect the person who made that album, because it was a couple years ago now. So, and then when I listened to Lived and Born, that's a lot more reflective of me now, honestly. Just because it was made sooner, like or recently, but
Mm-hmm.
I think I can listen to Lived and Born more, like it's just more listenable
It's where you are.
in a sense, but that doesn't make Midnight Oil give Midnight Oil any less gravity. I mean, I feel like that album is like constantly, it'll pull you. If it clicks with you, I feel like it pulls you in. That's what I was thinking of when I was making it. I was thinking like this album should like attract, even if it's like five people, it's like I think five people are really gonna fuck with this. Everyone else might not, but like I know there's like five people that are gonna fuck with this.
Right.
And I feel like maybe that number goes to 10 with the next album and 20. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know, man. If you dig it, that's crazy to me. That's bugged out. I mean, I don't know, man.
It's wild because I think was it Doof or somebody who said that you have three different relationships to your album.
Mm.
Like you have the relationship you had when you were making it, you have the relationship you had when you released it, and then the relationship later,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And so it can be three totally different relationships. Um, and that's important. But you also, one of the reasons I was able to keep going after a lot of people I know stopped writing was because I learned how to love my imperfections.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
learned how to be like, oh, I see what you were trying to do. I still think that's a good goal. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
What you
Mhm.
were trying to do makes sense. I respect it, you know.
Right.
I like that you stuck your neck out.
Yeah.
I learned and I did that better next time. So
Yeah. Yeah. You know, in that regard, I think if I stopped with Midnight Oil, I'd still be content
yeah.
because it was, you know, it's all true to me, and it still is, and it always will be. Like on some level, it'll always be. Because I feel like listening, man, yo, if I had to delete every other song, I would keep listening. Like if I had to just keep one song, I would keep that, and then I would listen to it when I'm 50, when I'm 60, 70, and be
Right.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Listening. Yeah, it's yeah,
That's just me. I don't know. I'm
yeah.
probably the only one, but
My grandpappy used to spit.
yeah, children. This is Sunmundi. Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah.
But the one that I felt like was it the most Sunmundi song on Lived and Born, I felt was All in the Wind slash Further.
Right.
Yeah,
Mm,
that was the highlight of the album for me. I think. I mean, as in the high point. That was the high
yeah,
point for me.
I feel you. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah. That yeah, I fucking love that song. Yeah, those beats are so beautiful.
Yeah.
I had like woken up and Clown Cat like sent me both of those beats back to back. And I'm like, these are both they feel like they need to be related. And so yeah, I think putting them next to each other just makes the other one
Right.
so much brighter, you know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
they interact so well together. And you know, me and my friend and my wife helped me like do a music video for that. And I feel like we did like a night and day type of thing. And I feel like that's what that song is. I feel like it's the first half is just brighter, and then the second half is I don't know, man. I would love to do like a mad high budget music video for that song because
Yeah. So
yeah, no, I'm glad you appreciate. I appreciate that you dig that
it's
song. Yeah.
yeah, it's the biggest lyrical moment for me, Kay, because like it's the one where like and Sun Moody does this to me where all of a sudden I'm rushing. My finger is rushing to rewind what did he just say? Pull that back. Rewind that. And I'm rushing to rewind it. And that was definitely a song like that. Um
Thank
Kay, did you have any runs on this you dug?
Yeah, I loved. So I thought that All in the Wind Further was the high point,
you.
Ooh,
but
Mhm.
my personal favorite was Everything Is Everything.
yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
So I think Everything Is Everything. Sun Met Moon,
Mhm.
All in the Wind Further, and then it just. I mean, the whole ending half of the album is strong, but I think for me it started to really click at Everything Is Everything.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, I can see
Thank
that.
you.
I can see that.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that joint is I wasn't sure how people would feel about that. The loop is so beautiful, the beat. Uh and I feel like I mean it's a long song. I structured it so like each verse is like a little bit longer than the prior one. So it's dope that that one hits. That's a cool song for sure. Yeah, the second half is dope. Um, I feel like the last two tracks, especially like On the Wind and then Harbingers, I feel like it's a gratifying ending. You
Yes.
know, like if you made it this far, here's this like levity. I feel like
But I
Mm.
feel like the what you just laid out, Kay, 8 through 10, that 3 song run
Yeah.
is the reason that Harbingers pays off so
mm,
hard,
Mm.
right?
mm,
Like Harbingers hits and pays off that well because that 3-song run to me is the spine of the second half.
Yeah.
The spine of the first half to me is 2, 3, 4. Healing Song, Capitulation, Day and Age.
Mhm.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, I feel like the first, when we made the first 3 songs, I was like, how do we go up from here? Because I feel like Stay Compassionate is the one I feel like people kind of sleep on that song. That might be my favorite. I think that probably is my favorite song on the album. But yeah, I think that's probably a fair stopping point because New Pavement too is just such a like it just like wakes you up, I feel like.
Yep.
And then I guess if it wakes you up in the beginning, I suppose it kills you in the end with the like
Right.
I don't know, the last word in the verse is casket and
Right.
and it's like a total beat switch. But yeah, man.
I think those are
Yeah, cool.
those runs are defining, and I'm so happy to see your name popping up in these kind of album of the year discussions. And I
Crazy.
I just want you to be in the conversations because the work you do makes sense and deserves that love.
I
So
appreciate that so much, man. Yeah, it's still. I never thought I would make two songs, let alone like 2 albums. So, and the fact that people dig it is just so crazy to me. So nah, it's the love is felt, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, man, seeing the lists and shit is tight. And shout out to Dylan Green, like
right,
man,
right. Did you
my
get
man.
Pitchfork? Did they review your book?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big, yeah, that was so tight of him, man.
Man.
I met him at a show, so I was able to, shake his hand and thank him in person.
He's awesome. When he was Kay, was he on the show when we were repping Midnight Oil?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think he mentioned it. Maybe it may have been at the year end. Maybe we
We
talked
don't
about.
remember any of this stuff is the
I
problem.
don't.
But we had Dylan Green for our year end, and I was pitching him feverishly all these albums. Midnight Oil might have been one.
Yeah,
Man.
I believe it was.
Okay. I don't know. I lose track because I pitch everything everywhere. But it was great, and yeah, Dylan's awesome. He's got great ear. So that's a great look. Okay, do you have anything else? You want to go to recommendation
No,
corner?
let's go recommendation form.
I got music. So the one I've been, there's always something that mixes with what we do anyways, and it has to kind of give a little bit of flavor that the guest eat something oppositional. So I was listening to NX Bo Dies by Chewy and Imaginary Other. It's on Old Soul Music. It's fucking great. 10 songs. It's he's Chewy's from Sacramento. He's like an old school mixtape blog era cat. I loved his music back in those days. So when I saw him releasing through Old Soul Music, I was like, let's go. And this is awesome. It's great. Big hooks, super dope. Check that out. Old Soul Music has a lot of cool shit that is just hanging out on their Bandcamp page. Yeah, check out. It's a growing label. So, and I went to the RMPP listening party, Kay,
Mm-hmm.
for Curly Castro, Prem Rock, Controller 7, Shrapnel, the new album, Nobody Planning to Leave. It is coming out soon, June 7th, actually. And we're going to go see him, right, Kay? You're rolling?
Yeah, and they're coming to Maine the 14th, right?
Oxbow, absolutely. So me and Kay are going to be there. And this album is crazy. So crazy. The guest verses alone are just unbelievable. And there's beat switches, and just Controller 7 got more out of Castro than I think anyone else has. It's awesome. So Controller 7 is the kind of producer who can't just give you a beat, he gives you the story, right? Like the beats telling a story and the beats tell a story together. And so I'm so happy they did it with 7. Uh, the other one I would say, Kay, is you got to check out that Wave Generators album that Keach sent us, dude.
Wave generator. Okay.
Height Keach, guest on the show, emailed us the advance. It's an album with No Saj and Height Keach, and it's so fun, so fun. I listen to it endlessly. No Saj is dope. No Saj is more like a lead singer than a rapper, because he's doing so much with his voice.
Dude is dope.
So
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, that sounds crazy.
And Keach is masterful with this kind of psychedelic guitar-based production that's like psychedelic, but it also has its hands in like Run DMC style energy. And which is perfect for No Saj. So this album is great. It's going right in the car. Sunmundi, what are you listening to? Hit me.
Yeah, I mean, as far as rap, like I pretty much only listen to Obi-Wan like every single day.
Yep.
I'm like recently kind of became addicted to his music. So yeah, Obi-Wan. I mean, I've been listening to also Alchemy, Jay Cinema and Chow. That album's fucking awesome. Another like if you dig,
that was really good.
yeah, I don't know, man. That shit is just so tight. So yeah, but mostly like I kind of just listen to Obi-Wan and like I listen to like Archie Shep sometimes, but otherwise I like kind of been stuck listening to my own shit. So yeah. Also Delete Glitch, Head Size Wall Dance.
Oh,
Just released that crazy, yeah, really, really dope album. Denmark Vesey feature too.
Yeah.
And yeah, Glitch is so fucking sick. Yeah, shout out to him. So that project's sick. Yeah.
That's awesome. Kay, what are you rocking with?
Nothing new this week, but we got a lot of great releases coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to actually having a recommendation in the next couple of weeks. So
my son has gotten into Kanye West. He's discovering rap in these stages, right? He's 10. So he just heard 808s and Heartbreaks for the first time. And it was funny because he's like, "Can you put this in the car, Daddy?" And I'm like, "It's already in the car." Like, sorry, we got it. But I was trying to use Kanye as a segue to better rappers. And I was like, "Hey, buddy, like, you should listen to Common B, producer Kanye, da, da, da." And I put on the corner, and he's like, "I like the beat, but the rapping,
oh man, dude, it's so smooth.
He'll grow into it. Yeah.
Yep. So I gotta throw him different angles. I think during the summer when he's off, I'm gonna give him one album a week and ask him to write.
Do a report.
Ask him to do a paragraph. Just give me a paragraph on what you think of it. You know what I mean?
Talking to his friends like, but your guys' dads don't host podcasts, host underground rap podcasts.
Well, that's the weird part is like, so I remember he has a weird friend who like kind of controls a lot of what goes on in his family. And so we're in the car and the son is like yelling out what he wants the dad to play, and the dad just plays it. And so he's like, he starts playing Max O'Cream, and I'm like, "Oh shit, Max O'Cream."
Maybe this bully is cool.
He's like, "Your dad knows Max O'Cream?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, dude, I was listening to Max O'Cream back in the day. Like, I'm a #1 Max O'Cream fan." And he was like, "Oh, your dad's cool. Like, it's a different lifestyle." Yeah, yeah, but highly embarrassing for my son, so that's cool. It'll be great. But yes, I appreciate you, Sunmundi, coming on the show. Okay, funny. So one last thing, I was listening to Dylan Green's interview with Wavy Bagels, Real Notes. Shout out to the Real Notes podcast. It's amazing. Sunmundi's been on it. And he was talking about how like keeping track of the numbers, like he doesn't like to keeping track of the numbers of the episodes. And I kind of do, Kay. I think of it as like the home address for the episode. You know?
Home address for the episode.
So when people are like, what episode should I listen to? I'm like, 90 is Zilla breaking down sequencing, you know, like 133 is me and you doing like ultra personal, right? 200 is the Dipset. Like, you know, I've got all these.
I like that.
Home address. It's not a valuation, it's their space.
Right.
I appreciate
Mm.
What episode is this? Which number?
208?
Yeah.
No way. You'd be like, skip past that one.
I'm gonna confirm. No, it's
208.
208 was Hami, so 209 right before
Wow.
that. You get that sweet spot. So
Oh yeah.
address 209.
Welcome to my